It's nice to have you by there today. How long have you been doing how long have you been doing this in terms of as business and finance in business and
Um,
finance?
for over decades, I think since 2015, 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. How do
Mm,
you
I got into the business world in campus when I started
Mhm.
my first business. I wasn't a business student, so it's something that I needed to learn because I wanted a successful business. But most of my friends in campus were doing business courses, so I was just leveraging on the knowledge that they get from the units that they were doing. And
Mhm.
then it became a passion of mine because I didn't study in Nairobi. So anytime I'd come to Nairobi for the holidays, I'd attend conferences. I think there's just something about conferences with me. I was
Mhm. Mhm.
so much at home anytime I'm in a summit, a conference, a workshop, and you're learning from people. I'd admire, those people that would speak the experts, I'd
Yes,
admire
yes.
them so much because they had a lot of knowledge to share. One conference after another, entrepreneurship became my, more or less like my calling. So
Your opinion. Mhm.
yes, I just decided to just bask in the glory of it, and it has been a good run. Yeah, been a good run with some highs, with some lows, but we're not complaining because nothing is linear.
Yeah,
Everything is a wavelength. Yeah, there are ups and downs.
yeah. That's that's absolutely like a decade, and I mean that's a lengthy experience, and you have a lot of learnings that you've gotten on the way.
Yeah. A lot of learnings, a lot of unlearnings, because
Mm,
things change with time, especially in business. There's a lot of policies that come, and you have to be in compliance with them, or you have to understand them so that you work together with them in your business. So there's a lot of unlearning. There's a lot also of exposure. You get to know what other countries are doing
mhm.
because you just find yourself working with these countries. You're probably not in Kenya, you're in these countries, you're working there. So there's a whole lot of line. I would say the baseline of this is that you don't stop learning. Every day is just a
Mm.
learning
There
opportunity.
is yes, I agree with you totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I can see guys have joined, so we can hop into our discussion. Okay. Just get off this. All right. Thank you everyone for joining tonight, and to our guest as well, Kathleen. Is that how you spell your name, by the way?
Yeah, Kathleen. Yeah.
It's a unique one.
Yes, thank
So
you. It's part of my
today,
life.
it's thank you. So, I mean, today we have an interesting topic, and we're talking about money matters when it comes to business and just how you measure your business growth and revenues. So, Kathleen is going to be telling us more. Before you get into that, my name is Wilhard Ordon, and I'm the founder of Digitech Today. And so at Digitech Today is as simple as this. We're a community of professionals, marketers, entrepreneurs, and innovators, and who are passionate about the digital economy. So we connect through insightful conversations, also through networking opportunities, and that are focused more on technology, business growth, career, and the future of work. So, if these are the things you like to hear or talk about, then Digitech Today is a community that you should be part of. So, Kathleen is a timely guest for us tonight, and she's a business, finance, and growth advisor, one of Kenya's leading voices in financial intelligence for entrepreneurs, known for strategic leadership and financial literacy. And that is what we're talking tonight. So, we're talking about money matters around your business. How do you actually measure that you're doing well, despite you seeing that yes, the numbers are growing or they're not growing. So she's going to be giving us more insights. And before we jump into our first session of our quick fire section, let me just allow her to introduce herself. And so that we can also hear her voice, just to confirm that she's of sound mind and she can talk, and we can hear her as well. So if you are joining us tonight, feel free to give us a thumbs up and tell us where you're joining from as we start.
Thank
Kathleen,
you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here to be talking about something that's very dear to me, something that I find pleasure in having conversations around it, something that is part of my daily life. I work closely with business owners or entrepreneurs across different regions in the continent. I like how you introduced that I am an expert when it comes to financial intelligence for entrepreneurs because I've been doing this for a decade this year. So I've worked closely with entrepreneurs in different areas. So at some point, I was probably playing advisory roles. At some point, I was also an entrepreneur. So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, trying to balance them. And money is something that's very focal for the success of any business. If you want to build a sustainable business, if you want to build a scalable business, if you want to also measure the viability of the product or the service that you want to introduce in the market, money is one of the biggest foundations that you need to get right so that you're able to navigate through that ecosystem seamlessly, and you're also able to work around some of the bottlenecks that you'll be probably experiencing, of course, depending on the industry that you're in. So that's pretty much who I am, and I will be spending the next 1 hour with you. I urge you to ask me as many questions as possible. I will try my best to answer them. I will be speaking from my heart because I don't, with entrepreneurs, when it comes to money, coming here with PowerPoint presentations, it can feel very technical, and money is something that's very. Yes, so money is something that's very personal. So we want to get personal and deep into it so that we understand the architecture of money in our businesses and pretty much the flow of money so that if there is any gray area or leaks that you're experiencing in your business, then now we sort them out now and you're able now to even realize the future of your dreams as far as your businesses are concerned.
whoa, we can already see the passion from your introduction. I mean, I think this is going to be one of the most powerful conversations we've had on in our community. So, I can see guys are already interacting in the chat section, and feel free to ask your questions because we have time for your questions, especially as entrepreneurs or as this is a topic of interest. I know there are a lot of things you need to learn today. So as we just start, as our norm, we always start with a quick fire section. And so within 1 minute, we're going to do this. So allow me to start. So on to my first question is as an individual, do you prefer cash or card?
Cash. But there's a caveat to that.
Mhm.
Right now, we don't, when you're using cards, there's no transactional fees. I like the evolution that we're experiencing right now as far as card integrations are concerned. Using a card is very cheaper than using M-Pesa. So there are some cards that I will not incur any transactional fees. So for security reasons, a card would be nice. Sometimes cash is better because again, if you're dealing with especially business owners, they like cash, cash, cash. So it's good to balance. But for me, depending on my interactions, I would prefer cash. when it comes to doing businesses of large volumes, then let's go the paperless way. Yeah.
Paperless way. Okay. My second quick fire question is this. Will you go with budget up or you'll go with gut feeling?
Budget up. Let me tell you something about money. If there's a way you'll actually lose a lot of money in the process of you interacting with it, is relating with money with I think, I feel, I dreamt. And especially if that is business money, because you don't run a business with gut feeling, you run it with data. You know, the budget app is able to give you precise and conclusive data that will help you to make better and informed financial decisions in your business. If you're using your gut feeling, you're running your business or you're going through life with something called speculative assumptions. So you're assuming a lot, meaning even the decisions that you're making are really not accurate. And of course, you can actually even just ensure that you're really not going through life the way it's supposed to be. So anything that will help you to manage the data, I'm a data person. So anything that will help you to manage that data and to understand it and to analyze it so that you're able to make the right decisions, by all means. Don't go through life with gut feelings.
I mean, I like that because you've really expounded it in a way that I'm getting to learn about speculative assumption. So, I mean, we should try as much as possible to run away from that. My third question is invest fast or save fast? I know, especially for young business owners, this is something they would like to know.
Do both concurrently. And here's the reason.
Mhm.
Saving and investments, they both serve different purposes. Saving is for security and accessibility. If I'm saving, my money is probably in a bank account and I can easily access it anytime I want, and it's secure. So if you're putting your money under a mattress and you feel like that's secure, you're not different from someone who's putting their money in their bank account. Why? Because if you look at the interest rates that we're getting in some of the savings accounts that we have, if you compare
Mm.
that against the inflation rate, your money is probably losing value. All right. So saving
Yeah.
for accessibility and security. For investments, there are two purposes when it comes to investing. Number one is capital preservation. So this is where you say, I have 1 million shillings right now. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this money. I have no idea. I am probably hitting a mental block. And especially with business, you don't know if you need to add stock. You don't know if you need to hire someone extra. You don't know if you need to increase your marketing budget. You're probably at a space where you're trying to probably do some strategies here and there. Then it's wise
Mm.
for you to put that money into an investment instrument that's giving you that goal of capital preservation. So capital preservation is more or less like, if I put my 1 million today, by the time I am leaving that investment avenue, I still have my 1 billion shillings and there's that guarantee. And we have a number of those avenues right now. Money markets is one of them, which serves a bit of capital preservation and another goal that's called growth, yeah, and income. So it's cuts across board. Another one will be probably the treasury bond or the treasury bill, where if you're short term, if you're looking at a year, so treasury bills are short term, so a
Yeah.
year. Yes, it can go beyond a year. So if you're looking at putting your money somewhere for a year, then get a treasury bill. So you'll earn simple interest from that. There's a bit of income that's coming to you, but you're also going to get your 1 million shillings by the time that journey is complete. All right, a treasury bond, that's long term. So we are looking at probably 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So you might also want to understand what are the goals that I have as far as this money is concerned. So that's one of the goals, capital preservation. The other goal now is income. I need to invest. I need to put my money in a place where there's money that's coming in. All right. So you
Mhm.
get an investment avenue that's probably giving you 10%. The inflation rate right now is about 6-7%. So anywhere you put your money that's above the inflation rate, your money is actually earning value. So it's for you to know: do I want to earn 3% more than the inflation? Do I want to earn 10%? There's so many investment instruments that you can take advantage of. And then the final one now is growth. This is where you want to multiply your money. All right. If I put my 1 million shillings now, in the next year I probably want it to be 1.7, 2 million, and there's so many investment avenues that you can actually take advantage of. But here is the caveat: there's something called true balance, which is your personality as far as investments is concerned. So if you're a moderate, so it's conservative, moderate, and aggressive. So if you're a moderate, you have no business working with investment avenues that prefer aggressive investors. Aggressive investors are investors where if you put your 1 million shillings today and tomorrow, you don't have your 1 million shillings, you're good. You know, you can easily make that money there. But if that's the only money that you have no business playing around with those investment avenues. So these are like crypto, we're talking about commodities, we're talking about those high yield high risk, high yield investment opportunities. All right. And then for investments, there's no guarantee that you're going to make money. That's also something that most, I think, financial advisors don't tell people because for every investment there's a risk and it's usually high risk, high rate of potential return. So there's a potential for you to get your returns and there's also a potential for you to lose your returns. So savings and investments should run concurrently. For your short-term goals, for your short-term bills, put them in a savings account because it's easier for you to just withdraw it and sort out your bills. But for investments, it's something that's very critical and you can't just work around it anyhow. You have to sit down with an investment advisor so that we understand what are your goals and we channel you to the right investment avenues for your goal. So investment is goal based.
Wow, that is very, very comprehensive. I mean, getting to learn a lot in terms of even if it's saving, being moderate, either conservative or as well aggressive. So it determines, or you are the one to determine how you want to approach it. So in maybe 30 seconds, because this is a quick fire session, will you advise multiple income streams or master one? And I know most small businesses also struggle with this. You're wondering if I just focus on one, is it going to give me that great leap, or should I diversify and have multiple?
Diversification anytime, any day. With business, there's always a risk with certain revenue streams. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify. Take a look at your business plan, or if you have the BMC, the business model canvas, what are some of the revenue streams that I have in my business right now? You could diversify. If you're in product based, maybe introduce a delivery channel and then you add a markup. So if you're probably charging 2,000 for your product, maybe now do 3,500 and you say the 1,500 is for delivery. So you've actually added another revenue stream. So
Mhm.
in case something happens, then you're able to even work with other players in the industry and say, I have left the whole production, let me now focus on delivery. So diversification anytime, any day.
Mhm. All right. That is, thank you for that. And on the last one, our last quick fire question is: should you let money work for you, or should you work for money?
Let money work for you. Let money work for you. That's the easiest and the most concrete way to wealth creation and preservation. Give your money a job description. The way you sit down with your people and you give them targets, you give them KPIs, you give them responsibilities, let your money also have a responsibility. Any money that's sitting idle in your pockets, let me tell you, everyone has a plan for your money. So you might be thinking you're liquid right now. Before you know it, by the end of the month, you don't know how that money has been spent. So give your money a job description. That's one of the leaks that I wanted us to talk about because money follows a chronological way.
Mm,
So if you're not assigning responsibilities to your money, something else will come and will take over the flow. And once you take over the flow, you have disrupted the whole architecture of it, meaning whatever purpose you had intended to use your money for, you can't really achieve the goals that you have. That's why we hear most business people saying, I had revenue of 2 million shillings at the beginning of the month, but I can't meet payroll. You're supposed to pay people by date 25th, but you're running around on date 20 trying to make more money so that you can pay your people. It means there's a leak somewhere, and one of the leaks now is that give your money a job description.
wow. I mean, that is such an such insightful, because I I have never viewed it like that. Like, you should actually give money a job description, or lest you find yourself in a situation that you don't really understand how things are panning out. So, with that, allow us now to move now into our discussion, and I'll let you now elaborate um, how you like it. So, maybe before that, let me see something like we have a friend Collins joining, you have another Mercy joining. So yeah, glad to know. Collins is saying glad to join in as you guys discharge wisdom and worthwhile lessons. Let's talk money. Glad to know more about how cash flow constraints and more money matters. So I think maybe that is something we might talk on later. So if you're joining, guys, feel free to drop in a comment or a chat in the or a question in the chat or comment section, and our speaker will gladly handle that at the end of the session. Also, you can drop your learnings and insights. So, to our first question is, what is revenue? What is revenue hiding that most business owners are not looking for?
That's a good question because it was also one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So
Yeah.
let's first define revenue for people who are probably new in the business world. So revenue is the money that's coming into your business. So it could be through you selling the products. It could be maybe you doing consultations. Just money coming into your business. What revenue is hiding is the financial health of your business, because you could be having revenue of 10 million shillings, but you can't meet payroll, you can't afford to hire someone extra, you can't even have the right budget to probably do your ads. This is the marketing budget. Your business is probably just hanging on a loose thread, yet there's money that's coming in every other month. So revenue reveals something called the runway, and that's one of the numbers that you need to understand as a business owner or as an entrepreneur. So the runway is pretty much how long your business can survive if you don't have money coming in. So I'll give you an example. If I sell my products right now, and I'm looking at my numbers, we are currently on date 25th, right? So that's pretty much a month. So I have revenue worth 2 million that has come into my business, meaning my business has made 2 million shillings. My
Mhm.
expenses are 2.5 million shillings. All right. So this means I am running on negative half a million. So
Yeah.
my runway is very thin. If I don't receive any revenue between, actually even now,
And
I
now,
my
yeah.
business cannot sustain. Yes, my business cannot sustain itself. So I don't have a business. I just have an expensive hobby. That's what we call it. You're not running a business. You're just running an expensive hobby. So what you need to do is when you look at your revenue as it comes, also look at the expenses. How money is going out to your business. So if you have 2 million shillings coming in, what are the expenses that am I incurring in my business? And for entrepreneurs or for business owners, we look at those expenses that are very there. You can actually see them. You know, things like salaries, things like rent, things like admin costs, things like utilities, things like electricity that form part of the utilities. But we don't look at the hidden costs. So one of
Mm.
them will be you're not paying yourself a salary as a business owner. All right. So this
Mhm.
business is mine. I'm running it against my brand. I'll chuck whatever cash I think I feel I deserve that month. So there's
Mm.
no system that's guiding you how you're going to pay yourself. So every month you're taking different amounts of money, different amounts of money. So if you look at your expenses, they're not structured in good way. And then expenses are in two ways. So there's the direct expenses and there's the indirect expenses. The direct expenses and the indirect expenses form part of expenses that you really can't avoid and expenses that you can carry forward. So it's for you to understand which are these expenses. All right. So when you take your revenue and then you divide with your expenses, say we made 2 million on the 25th and our expenses are a million. All right. So
Mm.
if you take
Mm.
2 million, you divide by a million, we're getting two. All right. So it
Yeah.
means as at now, if we don't get any revenue in our business, we can only survive for 2 months. That's why I'm saying this is a very expensive hobby because if you look at industry benchmarks, especially in Kenya, for a business to be considered sustainable or scalable, you have to survive past the red line is usually at 3 years. So if you're If you've been able to do business continuously and you're okay up until the 3 year mark, then we can comfortably say that you have a growing business. Otherwise, if not, then what you have is an expensive hobby, or sometimes people like to say, I'm running a startup or I'm building something. You literally don't have something that you can say you have established it in the market. So that's your runway. Your purpose as a business owner is to ensure that your runway is as thick as possible. We have businesses that have runways that pan up to 5 years. These ones, they know completely that if anything happens, let's take the case of COVID. If anything happens, we can comfortably continue to be in business, even as we're sorting aside or sorting out these emergencies or eventualities that happen in the business. All right. So it's
Yeah.
for you as a business owner to understand this number. So that's one of the things that the revenue is hiding, your runway. So once you
Mm,
understand runway, then you're able to make better and informed financial decisions. That's why I usually say if you can afford a finance guy, well and good, but don't leave everything to them. You're the visionary. The one
mm,
you're the one who's carrying this calling, all right? So when they say to Kosawa, when you ask, because as business owner, we usually like to say that you ask your finance kit kwaje, imwezi, then they say tuko sawa.
that's
So what does that mean? They need to give you a report and show you this is what the runway looks like as far as today is concerned, and then the other numbers that we talk about. So that's one of the things that the revenue is
hiding.
hiding.
Yeah.
The other one, yes, yes. So maybe I can talk about the two others because revenue hides three things. The first one is the revenue. The second one is something called the cost of customer acquisition or customer acquisition costs. These are things that we talk about as business owners. These are numbers that you'll hear someone saying, "Oh, my customer acquisition cost is probably 1,000 shillings." What does that mean?
Mm,
It means the 2 million that's coming into my business, I am still using that 2 million to get other clients as part of my facilitation. All right.
mm,
So maybe this 2 million, we are in the events industry. So we curate events or we help people realize the beauty of the events that they want to have. So client has paid 1 million shillings as deposit. We're already using that money to get the client that's going to pay us for next week. So you're already eating into your revenue even before the month ends. So what you need to do is understand sometimes it's good to have, yes, it's good to have many clients. It's good for you to list down your clients list and say, oh, I have a number of clients. But some clients are really not quality clients. So we all know as business owners, if you're not getting your new clients from referrals, you have to go and get them. So you could be running ads, say for example, on social media, and then from the ads you get something called impressions. Then you have to have a series of meetings between before they fully convert.
yeah.
So if you've already spent money for your ads, you've already spent money to go and have meetings. Some clients will have even 4 meetings. Some clients are very slow in
Wow.
conversions. Yeah. So you're using fuel. You're probably buying them lunch. You're probably buying them point. There's a communication bundle that you're using because you're in communication every now and then. And then when you lock in this client, they're giving you, you probably spent 20,000 shillings to lock in this client, but they're giving you the value of your relationship is probably 15K. So you need to understand something as a business owner before you even begin pursuing a client. You need to assess what is the value of this relationship that I actually want, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually pursuing. So if the value of a relationship is 15,000 and I'm spending 20,000 to get you, then in as much as it will be nice for you to have to be one of my clients, it doesn't make any business sense to me. So
Hold your
instead
thought.
of letting mhm.
Let me ask something. So in case, yeah, I like on the aspect of customer acquisition because I'm a digital strategist, and when it comes to customer acquisition, this is something I deal with like almost every day with clients and stuff. So assuming, so if we say maybe I'm going to spend, because this is also another assumption, and I like to get a perspective. Yes, I might end up maybe getting very least value from this for the from the first interaction. But what if and what I always know is that, and what I always say is that customer acquisition is always an expensive affair. But now, how
Correct.
do I make it valuable to the business? Is to ensure that this person, I'm able to retain them. So if they buy from me the first time and I've spent more to get them, but they are going to spend again and again, then it makes, on the bigger picture, it makes business sense. But if it's a one time interaction and they just buy once, probably now that's where also other factors in the business affects, like maybe poor customer service, poor product itself. So it might, I don't know, what's your perception about that?
You're actually very right because again, to look at the longevity of the relationship that you're going to have with these clients. There's something called the LTV, long term value. So when you're assessing this client, you have to look at what is the potential LTV of this client. As a digital strategist, maybe they want something that will probably last you 3 months, and they want to give you a retainer of 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. That's 15,000. All right. And you
Mhm.
use 20,000 to lock that in. It still doesn't make any sense. But what you
Mm,
can do is, again, be as innovative as possible. Instead of offering them one service or one product, try and expand the line of products or services that you're offering this client. So if they're just coming to your establishment for one particular service or one product, try and offer as possible so that you increase the LTV this client. I usually say, as
mhm,
clients, or let me call them customers because they are customers in your business, all right? They work with something written on their foreheads, make me feel important. So, as business owners, is for you to, as quickly as possible and as fast as possible, know what makes this client feel important. Maybe for them, it's they having a long-term relationship with you. Yes, they're giving you something worth 2 months, but can you introduce something that will let you be in a relationship with them for 2 years, 3 years? That's why we
mhm,
see for some businesses they'll come up with something called a work plan. So they came in with something. Let me use training as an example. Someone wants me to train their people. So we have come up with a good work plan. The training timeline is probably 2 weeks. Why don't I just spread the 2 weeks and say these 2 weeks I'm going to spread them into 4 months, and then within these 4 months I am poking holes into their business so that by the time we're having these debrief sessions, I can tell them I noticed a gap here while I was doing my trainings, and this is how I can be able to help you seal this gap. This is how much it's going to cost you because the value of a relationship is probably 500,000. Then let's add 300,000 on top so that it's going to be a markup. All right.
mhm,
So if the 500,000, then pay me 800,000. Then don't go for that money, all of that money at once. There's something called payment periods. Because again, what we want is we want to make our runway, which is number one, the first thing that the revenue is hiding, as thick as possible. So you could say, why don't you pay me 60% for starters, and then the
yeah,
other 40%, let's do 20%, 20%, as I'm giving you the deliverables and as you're validating them. That way, now, if you with that client for 4 months, you realize you've actually been with them for a year. So that's how you have to be smart about it.
oh,
Because again, also at the end of the day, you're looking for something called money at the end of the month. Remember, if for that example that we're using for 2 million, if I had 3 clients and I was expecting some money from them every other month, then I will not be scamping around right now because I know they'll probably pay me by 27th. Then I can be able to pay my people by first. Okay, so you're not wasting time probably trying to get other clients, trying to meet deadlines, and then you're paying your people very late, and then people now start saying bad things about your business. It's just putting your money in order at the end of the day.
yeah. I think I agree with you. And the two perspectives in terms of the longevity and trying to see how the LTV works is what also now makes more sense for business, because when you look at it um, from a business perspective, is that the longer you see, the more you can be able to upsell probably your other services or products. The
Correct.
Also that means you're increasing your how you're operating with this client. It becomes the relationship becomes longer, And the
Yes,
higher the LTV, the lower the cost per acquisition for your clients. And so that is now what will make you
yes,
proper business.
correct. Yes. In fact, even the ratio you can use is 1:10. One client, strive for 10 months. Get another client,
Mm,
strive for at least 10 months. If you're able to do that, if you're able to work with a ratio of 1:10, then you're good. It means your runway will never be as thin. You'll be meeting payroll, you'll be paying your suppliers, you'll actually be in business. Yeah.
business.
And then
Yeah.
now, if we can look at the third number now.
Yes, yes.
So the third number is called the cash conversion cycle. So this is how long the money that leaves your business, how long it for it to come back into your business as income. An example of have a shoe shop. So I've used the revenue for May to purchase new stock for June. So on the 1st of June, I ordered stock. Stock came into my
Mhm.
establishment. So that's inventory. But I'm selling this product on date 20. So it means from date 1 to date 20, there's money that's sitting idle in my business. Okay, that's why businesses people work with demands. How many orders? Because they don't want to bring in products and then they're just sitting idle on the shelf, and then now you have to money so that you can sell them or you can move them off the shelf. So that money that has left your business as you buying stock, how long does it take for it to come back into your business as revenue? Okay, so if we use that money on date 1 and we are selling it on date 20, it means by the time this money has come back as income, it has taken me 20 days.
Mhm.
Another example would be you have done a service for a client and then you have issued an invoice. Invoices ideally are at least 30 days, but some
Yeah.
people negotiate again based on the value of the relationship or the value of the advisor working with. So they'll say, I can't, or even policy, this the company policy. So they'll say, we can't pay you in 30 days, we'll pay you 60 days, you can understand 120 days. So that's
Mhm.
120 days. So it means this money that I have used as income into my business the cap of it is at 120 days. So if that's the money that I was relying on to pay my salaries, if that's the money that I was relying on, if that's the money that I was relying on to work around my marketing, if that's the money I was relying on to pay my admin costs, my utilities, then it means I do not have a working business for 4 months. What I have is just an
Mhm.
expense. So what you need
Yeah.
to understand what on. So any revenue mean before you say making money just because you've received cash at bank, ask yourself what does the cash conversion cycle look like, because it's going to affect your runway. It's also going to affect your cost of customer acquisition. So you need to sit down, and the industry benchmark for this. That's why we see business owners say, okay, Sawa, in 120 days. Okay, then do 70%. All right. So if our value was a million, then pay me 700,000 by date 30. The rest will work with the 120 days. We'll follow up on that. And again,
Yeah.
biashara ni kuelewana. So once you're able to negotiate and they agree, then work around with that. Then again, it goes again to the quality of the clients that you're bringing on board. So if that client is paying
Mm.
you after 120 days, yes, you've used a lot of money to get them, and they're not giving you the value of the correct value so that you're able to return that money. It doesn't.
Mhm.
So you see business owners saying it's good to have you as a client. It would be nice to say you're one of my clients, but it's not making any business sense for me unless we are able to
Yes.
iron out some of the issues that I have. Yes.
Wow, that is well broken down. I think in terms of just ensuring that the cash conversion cycle makes sense, that has been well
Yes.
expounded. I think because of time, let me go to the next question. So these are words that we hear a lot in the street or on the street: profit, cash flow, revenue. Most people use them. Business people use them, but interchangeably. What is the real difference, and which one should business owner actually be sleeping over whenever they're thinking about their business? Because
Profit, and not just profit, net
before you
profit.
even go, there's this thing nowadays I hear, like, people say a lot. You'll hear some people say, my business, like, me, I want a business that has cash flow. I'm sure you can relate with that.
Yes, 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 yes,
Like,
yes.
people say a lot, like, ata, even if it's small, but there is cash flow. That is what I want. So how do we how how do we differentiate these, and which one should business owners actually sleep over so that it makes business sense?
All right. So let me define each of them independently, and then also talk about the roles
Mm,
that they play in the business. And with that, even you as a owner will be able to answer yourself. So profit
yeah.
is not just profit, the word itself, but net profit is the money that remains with you after you've taken your revenue, you have minus to your net expenses. Right? I'm saying net because some expenses usually fall through the racks, right? And I'll give an example.
Mm,
You and I, we're somewhere we're having coffee. I've used my business bank account to pay for that coffee. But I haven't listed it down as an expense. I actually even
mm,
forget about it. All right. Sometimes I don't even ask for the receipt or anything. So that's an expense. The money has left my business, but I can't factor in my hisab, in my mathematics. So profit is the money, the net profit is the money that remains after you have taken your income, you have minus your net expenses, everything, including even that fuel. You've gone and paid fuel. You've given the soldier 50 shillings. That is money that has left your business. You've ordered lunch for someone. That is your business money. Factor in all those things, including even yourself. Don't forget yourself. Always pay yourself. So that's profit. That's net profit. Gross profit again is you've taken your income, you've probably deducted your direct expenses, not all of them. Yeah. So you need to focus on the
mm,
net, not just the net profit. Cash flow is how money is flowing in your business. You have to make it equate as seamless as possible. You see the way people say cash at bank is half a million. Cash. Like right now, I am 1 million liquid. All right, that's the available cash balance that you have in your business. Okay,
your
so
business. Yeah.
yes, that's the available. It could be right now 2 million. That's money that's sitting in our bank account. That's the available cash balance. We haven't even started deducting expenses. We haven't started deducting taxes or anything that we have incurred in the course of the business, or even credit that we have taken against our business. All right, so that's cash available. So in as much as you're saying you want good cash flow, you also have to look at how does this look like against my expenses? Because you could be having half a million at bank, but your expenses are probably 650. All right, you're liquid
Mm,
half a million, but your business, your runway is actually negative. So you're running a very expensive hobby right now. Then revenue,
mm,
we talked about it. It's money that's coming in into your business. So the number that you need to focus on right now is the net profit minus everything else. How much do I have? Even if it's 10,000, that is how much how much money your business has made that month. It could be minute, but it's the money that you have actually worked for in your
mm,
business. So that's the number that you use to sit down with your people and say, how are we making 10,000 shillings? Yet we have ads that are running. Yet we have
mm,
business developers that are meeting clients, having meetings outside or inside the office. Yet we are buying lunch every Friday for people in the office. Where are the leaks? Right? So this number will actually help you completely. And this is something that our finance guys don't tell us. For them, I think they are subconsciously preconditioned to show us the way the line is going up because
uh,
money is coming in, but they don't tell us the red lines. The red lines now is the runway, the cost of customer acquisition, and the cash conversion cycle. For sure, if your finance guy tells you this, then you'll be able to see where the money leaks are. Sometimes it's not about you going to meet clients every day in a restaurant and spending 2,500 shillings or 5,000. Why don't they just come to the office, then buy snacks, buy sausages, samosas, and whatnot for 100 shillings, then have a very conclusive meeting in the office. It's those decisions that are made based on the numbers. And like I said, businesses you don't run them by gut feeling. Even if you're in a good mood that day, you have no business going and buying lunch for a client just because you're feeling happy or you have this, you're in a wonderful mood. No, what does the data say? The data says you cannot afford to buy lunch in a restaurant. Invite that client into your office, ensure that you lock in that client so that you're able now to afford that next month.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
So in terms of maybe I was trying to, if I was trying to get you well in terms of this this word on the street, when people like saying what would be like when people like leveraging on the aspect of cash flow, like that's why you'll see people want even to do very business that have very small margins, but they're happy about it. Their gut tells them I'm making money because every day, like someone will exchange, like maybe they'll even get 50,000 K in a day. But what if you are to look at what they're actually getting is probably even 5,000, but they are happy because there is that flow. What is your advice about that?
I mean, it's because they don't have a clear picture of how businesses run, and I like these kinds of people because I'm able to make them shift their mindsets. Because at the end of the day, especially with the business models that you're working with, if you have several products and you're making good margins with all of them now. You also have to look at how much did I use to ensure that I'm able to reach this margin. What are some of the expenses that I incurred along the way? And you do that per product. Even the cost of customer acquisition, you don't do that like cumulatively. You do that per product or per service. So if you're meeting two, three clients in a day, handle them independently. So that 50,000 that's coming in, how much did it cost you? Maybe the 50,000 is accumulation of several other things that you've done. You've probably done consultation. You've sold a pair of shoe or two pairs of shoes. You've done digital marketing for another client. It's an accumulation of a number of things that you've done, and it's coming in as the money that you've made that day. Okay, but what is the cost of customer acquisition per product or per service? There's a tool that I'll share a link with you that you can be able to just put in your numbers and it calculates. So the algorithm is made in a way where you're able to get all these three numbers. It even goes ahead to even show you for every 100 shillings that I make in my business, how much remains in my pocket. So that if you're for every 100 shillings, you're probably remaining with 12 bob, then that's honestly the reality of the business that you're running. So in as much as you're making 50,000, you might find at the end of the day, whatever is yours is probably 5,000 shillings, just like you said. Yes. So it's good and it's right for business owners to have a clear picture and a clear and a broad understanding of how businesses run because now they wouldn't be excited about how the money is coming in. Because you could I did a presentation at some point and we were looking at a case study of a business that had 180 million in revenue for in 3 months. But these guys couldn't use payroll. These guys couldn't handle some of the expenses that were coming because they just didn't understand the numbers that I'm talking about. So it's not about the money that's coming. It's what does that represent in my business?
In your business? Well, that thank you for that. Now, a business can be fully, and I mean fully, be booked, constantly busy. We've seen this a lot, making sales every day, but and still be broke. How does that happen, especially in today's era? And how do you catch it before it catches you?
It's the problem now is in the expense pillar. So there are so many leaks there. So you could be making a lot of money, 1 million shillings a day. At the end of the month, you're probably 30 millions in revenue, but your expenses are so high. Okay. Sometimes there's also a leak in terms of the distribution channels that you're using to get these clients. Maybe your ads are not working. You hire an incompetent person who will use money to try and get more people into your business, but the conversions are not working here. All right. It could be also even the strategy that you're using. You'd find you'd make more money to be the middleman as compared to you being the one in the beginning.
The
You know,
one, yeah,
yeah. So like now there's a company that I'll not mention the name, but there's a
yeah,
company that we they sell a lot of toiletries, tissue papers, serviettes, the soft tissues, the wet wipes and whatnot. But they don't have a production center. What they have is a good network of people, and they are able to distribute these products through that network and make their money. So what they do, they go to a company that has a production center, but they don't understand the right distribution channel for this product that they are producing. So they take advantage of that weakness or that gap, and they come into an agreement. So they work with like a consortium. I have the network, you have the products. Let's work together. What the people know, what the public knows, is that this toiletry belongs to this company, but this company does not have a production center. So you see, now that's
Yeah.
one of the weaknesses. There's a lot of gaps in how you're handling your business ecosystem, and a bigger chunk of it lies in how you're the architecture of money and in the expense part. Another one will be in terms of salaries. You are hiring uh, people that are not necessary for the sustainability of that business. Okay, the business could run with two admin people, sorry, one admin people, but you're hiring two for what? Okay, and now with the advent of technology and AI tools, get one qualified person, then pay for the pro features of some of these AI tools, and they're not as expensive. Well, you
Yeah.
could find one tool is probably $22 a month, another one is probably $9 a month. Pay for these pro features, and then you're able to optimize that sort of department. Okay. Other departments like marketing, get two very competent people, someone who understands the market very clearly, and someone who understands the tech part of it. Let them work together, equip them with the features, the AI tools that are necessary, equip them with the trainings, so that they are able to work efficiently. Another leak would be your people are not trained for the jobs that you're giving them. You employed me as a PR person, but you're making me do sales. I need to understand how the sales, yeah, how to understand how the sales funnel works. Maybe just take me through some sort of training so that I understand. This is the expected outcome of the business. We have used 1 million shillings. We're expecting 2.5 million shillings. So you're entrusting me with this. Then equip me with the knowledge and the skills that I need to have so
Mm.
that I, but not just throwing people. I'm competent in probably finance. You're making me do PR. Doesn't really
Yeah.
make sense. So it's for you as a business owner to sit and see, do I even have the right human capital? All right. Another thing will be in your working capital. You're spending so much money on unnecessary things. So it could be maybe you're buying different brands of coffee, you're buying different brands of tea. You just want to see people enjoying tea in your office. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Coffee is coffee. You buy your brand of coffee, you save the rest, let the rest go into whatever is needed. So you're reducing your admin cost. So this is some of the leaks that people experience, and that's why you find that, yeah, you're making a lot of money, but there's some things you can't actually meet as a business because there's so many money leaks in your business.
Mm. I mean, when it comes to the aspect of money leaks, I think this is something that probably most businesses should really try having proper financial advice and proper financial audit, so that it is a matter of it being more sustainable, or not just feeling like we're doing it right. Because as I just posed the question, is that yes, a business will feel it's busy, yes, things are running, but at the end of the day, you can't really see that indeed this is what is on the table. When you now actually look at things from an actual, what I say, that you see whenever you go to your bank and you're like actual versus available balance. Now
Yes,
when you look at the two, you're like, this is not what I signed up for. So our
correct.
last question, then I'll let you maybe within a few minutes give your parting shot, because it's
Mhm.
9, it's 9 on the on the clock.
Yeah.
So one key thing is that when it comes to money, whether you're running a business or you're depending on a paycheck, money is coming in. But what the difference I like to hear from you is that what is the difference, or what is the difference between earning well and actually building wealth? Because either you are in business or you are earning from a paycheck, all of them, there is a stream of income.
Yes. Uh, the answer to this is your relationship with money. Money follows identity. You could be making a lot of money, but your identity is in shambles. So what's that's doing is just going to increase the bills that you're going to incur. That's why you see people. You have added your income by 100,000. Now you're moving to a bigger house. There's just that identity clash that you're experiencing. So your relationship with money has to be very strong. And I don't blame anyone. Why? Because as Kenyans, most of us did not have these conversations with our parents back at home. All we knew was there are days where money was there are days where probably money wasn't there. So we grew up with something called the scarcity mentality. So when you start making money, unataka kulipisha. I wasn't able to get this nice pair of shoes. Now I can afford it. Who's going to stop me? I'm going to buy 10 pairs. We weren't able to afford a car growing up. Now I can afford it. Let me go and get bank financing and actually purchase that car. So your money is actually increasing. Yes, you're doing a good job. You're earning well. You're probably in business. You're paying yourself a good salary, but your identity needs to be worked on. All right, because once that doesn't happen, then it means there's nothing you're doing. So a chaotic mind, it means there's a chaotic money flow. So you need
Money.
to work on your mindset. You need to shift from having a scarcity mentality and then now start having an abundant mentality. Look and see your life 5, 10 years from now. And I'll talk about the seasons of life even as I'm wrapping up. You see, in our 20s, it's not bad. We usually say 20s are the seasons of exploration, and it's not bad. Explore. If it's the trips that you want to go, go. If it's the car that you want to buy, buy. If it's the house that you want to do, all those things. But ensure that your money has the capacity to afford you that life. If it can't, then work towards building capacity so that you're able to afford this lifestyle that you're trying to live out. So don't go into debt don't go into bad debt, because debt is not bad. And maybe at some point we'll talk about how debt works. Debt is not bad. There's good debt and there's bad debt. So you get into bad debt to buy a big TV so that I can come to your house and call you Mkurugenzi or chairman just because you have 100 inch. Does not make any sense. Or you get
See,
into
boss.
bad debt. Yeah, but see, you get into bad debt, you buy a car so that the soja, the security, calls you chairman. You're living for the feelings of other people. Does not make any sense. Explore, yes, but ensure that you have capacity to do that. All right, because when you get to your 30s are more or less your seasons of establishment, and we see it. Most of the people around us, when they get to their 30s, this is when you hear people saying, instead of going to shares over the weekend, you hear someone saying, I'm actually going to see a piece of land that I bought. Your life completely changes
Mm.
unknowingly. Now you're thinking about getting married, now you're thinking about getting children. Your whole conversation changes, even your thought process. You're thinking about, okay, how do I raise school fees? How do I raise money to buy this piece of land? So if you did not work in your 20s, again, you get into debt because peer pressure. Wewe peke ndio hauna shamba in your group of friends. So you go into debt to purchase land so that when others are going to see their piece of land, even you can say, I'm going to see my piece of land. All right?
Yeah.
But you don't
Yeah.
also understand the concept of how land works in Kenya. Maybe someone has bought land, you're buying it because you just want to have land. You want people to say, all right, you are a landowner. But how does that translate to money in your pocket?
Yes.
So if you don't, if you're not careful in your 20s, when you get to your 30s, then you get into a frenzy. That's why we see people probably taking loans to pay dowry. Okay, peer pressure. You take out loans to pay school fees because you weren't prepared in your 20s. And I'm not saying you can only make money in your 20s. No, some people have it better in their 30s, but it's just shifting that mindset so that by the time you stumble upon some good amount of cash that will be able to afford you the life that you want, you're able to make better decisions. Because if you don't work with your 20s and your 30s correctly, when you get to your 40s, this is where people try to consolidate. So you've bought so many pieces of land in your 30s. Some of them you haven't even seen. You bought them when you're 31. You're 40 now. You remember, oh my God, there was a shamba I had bought 9 years ago. Now you're trying to go and see if it still exists. You're trying to consolidate all your assets because again, your retirement in a Kwangalia, it's just there around the corner. So you're trying to see how much money. So you don't get it right in your 20s or in your 30s, your life becomes very, very, very chaotic in your 40s because you're trying to achieve 2 decades worth of work in just a decade.
A decade.
So you're trying things that you could have done in your 20s, these things that you could have done in your 30s, you want to achieve them in your 40s. But this time your kids are big, they're going to school, school fees is expensive. Your wife is giving you pressure to buy a house or to build a house. As a woman, there's pressure that, okay, I need to have money because ABC, and there's a lot that's happening, you know. So if you don't get it right, then in your 40s, chaos. And then in your 50s is retirement. That's where we have people, and that's the whole concept of black tax. We have parents who they didn't do well in their 20s, in their 30s, on their kids to survive. You know, so
Survive, yes.
yes, who has been born to this kind of parents, your parent is probably 50, you're 20, you're trying to make money and live a good life, but there's a parent that's waiting for money going to build that. Like, that's why we can't build generational wealth like that. So why would you
Mm.
put your children in that situation? So it's for you to make good financial decisions. And something that you need to consider is, imagine you retire at 60, then you have 30 years to live without money. That should scare you. That should really scare
That
you.
is,
You retired, you haven't worked, you have no income that's
oh,
coming at the end of the month. At this point, you're fragile, you're old, you can't work the way you're working in your 20s. And then
yeah.
you have 40 years to live in abject poverty. And then, God forbid, your children disown you. Because the way the Gen Zs are, these are the people that will put you
They'll,
in, yes, in
they'll be
adult
telling you we are not
homes,
working
in
for
old
you.
people homes. They Yes. And we see them, they say, me didn't ask to be born. You're the one who decided to bring me into this world, so why am I taking care of you? And we see the way the Gen Zs are. So it's for you to sit down and say, okay, plan your life so that
Mm.
if you understand that, if you are the person that travels to Mombasa every weekend, 2 weekends you'll sit down and say, this money that I usually use, it's going to
Mm.
help me. And as young people, we benefit from something called time value of money. There's some investment as grow, the more you put them there. So imagine you're a 20-year-old and you're in the same room with a 6-year-old. You're taking the same investment avenue, benefit from it. You compare it to this 60-year-old. Because this 60-year-old, there is a higher, they could die next year. So it means even in terms of insurance, in terms of the risk, even the premiums or whatever money that you're putting, you're going to be putting a lot of money.
A
Your
lot
financial advisor will tell you, okay, you put a lot of money. It's not for you. You know, you focus on getting some other things. Another thing you'll find
some other.
because of the trend, remember in your 30s when people are buying a lot of land, you have assets, fixed assets, but you don't have cash flow. You can't afford to buy bread and milk every day, but you have acres upon acres of land. And you know it's very hard for you to liquidate a fixed asset.
Mm.
Traditionally, Kenya, real estate is something that our parents really hold closely to their heart. So before you convince a parent to sell 2 acres of land so that be able to sort their daily needs, it's a problem, you know. It's unaambiwa wewe sasa
Oh,
umeanza unataka kuuza shamba
how
no,
is it
and you're
possible?
trying to and you're it's close to impossible. So what do? You start disturbing your children in your 20s. I don't have money for medicine. I don't have money for milk and bread. Yet you have acres and acres of shamba. You have land. So
Mm.
it's for your goals. Remember the goals that we talked about in terms of investment? Know your goals and balance. Don't put all your money in fixed assets so that you're going to suffer now in your 60s. Balance. Have something that's going to give you income, and also that's something that's going to be used as an asset because you can take a loan against it. And that's why most people in Kenya they get rental properties because they know there's the rent that's coming at the end of the month. That's what they use for their day-to-day expenses. And then the shamba and the apartment or whatever area that they have a shamba, now that is the fixed asset that they buy. So balance both ends of the spectrum as far as investments are concerned. And angalia mbele. Don't just look at the trip to Dubai, the trip
Mm.
to Diani, the girlfriend that you want to impress. Don't look at that. That's a myopic life. Yes. Please look at life from a broader perspective.
Mm. I think you put it really in a good way that everyone will understand. I can see one of our um, viewers, Joan, she's saying that she probably wished that we could be taught about money matters from an early age. She said 8 years, but let me just say as an early age. And I think I agree because I was reading something and I realized that when you look at a place like just hold on. I was reading on a certain piece and realized that when you look at other continents, like if you look at UAE, um, you realize that the kids in like such region, they're taught about savings and even how to use money for even helping the community and such things. So you find from an early age they're even taught about what taxing means, so that you see some of us even you'll find people even in 30s or late 20s, but they really don't know how even taxing works, or like they don't know those dimensions. So I feel also that gap being there, whereby we, as Africa or Kenya, we are not taught about money matters from an early age, how you should invest, which are some of the best investment, or when you have money sitting in your pocket does not mean you're rich. And that's why when you hear someone saying Elon Musk is a trillionaire, what do you think an African thinks? What does an
It's
African think?
impossible. What did he do? First of
In the
all,
bank. It is that someone will think Elon Musk has trillions in the bank. Yeah, to you.
it's in form of assets. Let me tell you a trick that wealthy people do. You'll not find a wealthy person with cash, just like you're saying, cash sitting idle somewhere. They Money is in form of assets. Money is in form of items that appreciate in value over time. You'll find wealthy people, they'll buy these on expensive watches. Watches where you can even pass it on as a family heirloom. They're very expensive. And then what they
Yeah, yeah.
do is, yes, they take a loan against these items. So you buy an expensive piece of art, you buy this piece of land, or you establish a business. Then you take a loan against that. So that way, you're also, I don't want to say run away, but you're not evading, avoiding tax. Because again, taxation, when it comes to wealth, you also have to be smart around it. So when you're
Mm.
taking out a loan, you're paying that the element of tax at some point, because
The
you're going
element.
to pay, yes, very very less tax. And then it also happens that the wealthy people are prone to be sued. People can be clever. We are humans at the end of the day. Yeah. So
Mm.
someone has seen, like Elon Musk, probably someone said, "Oh, I'm actually going to come up with a lawsuit against this guy and get a hand
Mm.
against this guy." But when you get to court, you realize this guy does not have money. Him as Elon Musk have money. It's the business that he runs. Those ones are the ones that have money, and he has separated himself
Have money
from the business. Yes. So you're
from the
you're actually
business.
seeking money from someone who does not have this money. That is how the wealthy play. Even for you as a business person, try and look at these principles of personal financial management. At the end of the day, cool, it's good to have cash flow at the bank, but where is it coming from? And that's why you see people establishing businesses. You have Kathleen Holdings, and then within the business, there's one of the businesses for my son, the other business is for my daughter, the other business for my other son, and then whatever revenue that's coming into that business, that's the money that I'm going to use to take this kid to school, pay for their education, pay for their life and anything. So if they get in trouble, if someone comes for them, they'll fight. They're actually bankrupt. They can actually even file for bankruptcy at that point, and there's nothing you can do because their money is tied to an investment. It could be an asset, it could be a business. It's actually tied there. And maybe one day we'll talk about estate planning and how it works, because trusts are very important as far as personal financial management is concerned. Because with personal finance, it's four pillared. There's how you make money, then there's how you grow it, there's how you protect it, and there's how you sustain it. So estate planning is part of you protecting that money. Estate planning and insurance and a bit of taxation. It's how you protect the money. So maybe one day we'll get deeper into it and how to go about it. Because as far as wealth management is concerned, you need to understand these things. But let me say it's too late. If you find in your
Mhm.
60s and saying, oh, because I'm seeing in the comments someone saying there was this signs, it's never too late. It's never just, you know,
It's never too late,
the
actually.
first
It's never
step
too
is
late.
you. Yes, it's never too late. Start now. That little that you're putting right now will actually even help you, even if not as much, but it's something that will set you apart from the
Mm.
rest.
Wow, I think that will sum up our conversation tonight, and it's been such an insightful conversation. I don't know if you have something to just within 30 seconds to finalize, but then we are definitely going to look into uh, another part two of this so that we can just delve more into it. I didn't know it would be this insightful and thought provoking, but I mean, this is something, and I know as we go deeper into it, people will keep learning more and more. And for those who want to learn further, apart from maybe our live sessions, because they're also limited to like 1 hour, you can definitely reach out to Kathleen on LinkedIn with the names that I've shown on your screen, Kathleen Mureithi, or you can come to my DM. I'll give her contact details so that you can probably get more financial advice for your business growth, personal growth. Money matters is about personal growth and also business growth. So it's not a limited edition. So to you, Kathleen, probably for parting shots.
Right. So I'll say two things. So the first thing is know your numbers. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, know your numbers. Don't just look at your revenue and say we are good to Kosawa, or don't just take your finance guy, the way your finance guy tells you to Kosawa. Don't take it with a pinch of salt. Know your numbers. If you can't, that I think that's why we have people like us who are able to educate you and walk you through some of the numbers that you need to know as far as your business is concerned, and we'll go down to the nitty gritties and boil down to the specificities of your business. But know your numbers, know your runway, know your cost of customer acquisition, know your cash conversion cycle. Once that's done and the business is paying you money, I want you to handle your personal finances very well. Because once you don't, then you come back to your business and you steal money from, quote unquote, steal money from the business, because that's not your money, that's the business money. All right. So, in terms of your personal financial management, it's never too late. Start now, right? Don't be discouraged because you're learning about this now. It's never too late. And I want you to have a good relationship with your money. So, money is not a very complicated concept. I told you money and identity, they go hand in hand. So if you have a clash in your identity, then it's time for you to look at that. And it's not a hard thing. You can actually crush the whole concept of personal financial management and live a wealthy life. But it all starts in your mind. It all starts in you understanding who you are as far as money is concerned. And I'm here to help. If you have any questions after this, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be able to sort you out.
All right. Thank you very much, Kathleen, for the insights. I mean, we've learned a lot, and I love the fact that I could be able to see the intersection even between money and what I do in terms of digital. Like there's a lot of intersection in between. I thought they are very two divergent aspects, but
No,
uh,
no, no, no.
I was like, should I even get a financial moderator
It will
so that
actually,
we,
yes,
so
yes,
that
yes. Do that.
so that you can relate with each other? But I feel like the whole thing was like, and that means these conversations are meant for everyone. The way I always say as well, when it comes to digital marketing, it's not limited to a marketer. Even you as a finance person, even you as as a receptionist, as a cabin crew, whichever the as a chef, whichever the thing you're doing, you need to have you're supposed to be abreast with some of these digital skills. And now the digital skills cuts across finance, everything. So thank you so much for those insights. So as I finish, let me remind you that Digitech today, we are a community that is a community of professionals, entrepreneurs, marketers, and innovators. And we are here, we hold conversations around innovation, marketing, business growth, and the future of work. And this is mainly meant to help us grow together, career wise and business wise. So, without much ado, if you also like to join our community, be sure to hit my DM, and I'll also share with you our WhatsApp community link so that you can be part of us and be informed or be updated for any other lives that we hold. So with that, thank you very much, and it's a goodbye for tonight. Good day. Thank you.
Thank you.